Hey Fit Pros, it's your host Tyler Valencia here. Before we get to this episode, I quickly want to share a free resource we have on the KIPS website and YouTube channel. If you're struggling with your online workouts or just want to see the items that we recommend, check out our virtual training resources page. You'll find breakdowns on streaming setups, reviews on microphones, and other free videos that can help you build your fitness business today. Did I mention they're free? Go check them out at the link in the description or head over to our website to find them under the blog tab. Welcome to the best of February 2022 episode of the KIPS Podcast. My name is Tyler Valencia and I'm the president of KIPS and Time to Train Fitness. We are moving right into March now, and February has already flown by, and at the same time, the fitness industry is chugging along. If you're keeping your ear to the ground, the virtual space is expanding and more franchises, gym franchises, are investing with other big companies. So what does that mean for the independent? The instructor at home or working for a gym franchise, trying to grow their career, trying to build their business. Well, from our perspective and being a small business and running a company that puts out free content, I hope that Fit Pros out there continue to innovate in ways that improve experience, their brand, and their community. In my opinion, those are the three areas that an independent instructor is miles ahead of corporations and franchises. So with this episode, we're going to dive into all the content that we released in the month of February, which included tutorials in the online workout realm and podcasts that hopefully provide value and application tips for our subscribers and listeners. We had 4 YouTube videos released, including a level up video. If you aren't a subscriber to our YouTube channel or even on our email list, first, make sure you do subscribe. But secondly, Level Up is our series hosted by Ron Trujillo that takes common exercises and shows you how to level them up for the client standing in front of you. Even though it was a shorter month, we cranked out 4 podcast episodes that were all in the online workout space. So let's get this roundup episode started and give you the tidbits that hopefully intrigue you to take that next step and go watch the tutorial or go listen to that podcast episode. Our first stop in this episode is going over the last 30 days top 10 cities. So we just did this in the episode with Brooke Johnson, but I want to make sure that in every roundup, every best of episode that we do, that we make sure that we hit the top 10 cities and again, just say thank you for listening. So here we go. Blackhawk, Purcellville, Rapid City, Chandler, San Antonio, Ashburn, Canberra, Altoona, Dubai, and Calgary. Thank you to our top 10 cities for continually listening and being a fan of the podcast. If you're a fan of the podcast and you have a question or maybe you have a topic you want us to explore in an episode, send us an email with the subject line podcast to info@kipsonline.org. That's KIPS online.org. Before we jump into our YouTube tutorials, there's one little tidbit that I want to throw into this episode, and it has to do with an upcoming conference. If you're local to Seattle, the weekend of April 28th to May 1st is the Pacific Northwest, the PNW FitCon. In this description, you'll find a link to a list of all the lectures at this conference, and yours truly will be presenting 2 lectures, both in the personal training realm. On April 29th, I have my Breaking the Core lecture and workout, which takes a look at the latest issues facing core training. And then we go through a variety of core exercises. With this lecture and workshop, I try to see who's sponsoring the event or who's going to be a vendor there. And what I do know is that my friend Chris Severs from Anchor Point Training will be there, which will definitely lead to some great banded core exercises. The following evening, I have my new lecture on breaking barriers involved with exercise selection. This lecture kind of evolved from all those times that you've been training a client or teaching a class, and you have that participant that says, I don't feel this, or what am I working? We've all been there. We all know that client that says that in a class, and we all know at the same time that the exercise they're doing, it's good, and it's good for them. But there's that barrier that exists where if an exercise isn't burning their biceps or burning their abs, then it's not good. So in this lecture, we'll go over some of these scenarios and do some hands-on with hopefully some exercises that you haven't seen and that can hopefully help you incorporate into your programming. I will say that I'm very excited for this conference. Not only is it in one of my favorite cities, Seattle, but for me, speaking at conferences is still a very exciting thing. I've been speaking at conferences for about the last 6 years, and still I get a little bit of fanboy, I will say, when I see the names that I'm speaking with. So I'm very excited, very honored that I get to do this as a fitness professional and bring education, bring concepts that hopefully help my fellow fit pros. So let's jump into our YouTube tutorials that we released last month. The first one was using an audio interface for online workouts. So this was our updated 2022 version. And in this one, we go step by step through the equipment that you need for streaming workouts or even for recording online workouts. The equipment used in this tutorial can kind of be a blueprint if you're looking to get into online workouts, or maybe improve the process that you currently have, or even be that one-stop destination to get your audio to that next level. This was by far one of our most popular videos over the last 2 years, and it's for good reason. Instructors that use interfaces and mixers, in my opinion, are putting their online workouts in that next tier, that next level. Even if you're considering doing online workouts, I'd highly recommend just watching this tutorial. Go watch it, and hopefully just watching the demo that's at the end of it, you can see that it's not that hard. It's not that hard, and the end product is tremendous. Our next video released was a level up on the Cowcat. As mentioned in the introduction, we released this new level up episode. And with this being the first level up of 2022, I'm just going to briefly touch on why we started this series. First, it's another viewpoint on common exercises. How many times have you taught the Cowcat? How many times have you said the same cues over and over again? And if this series can give you a different perspective on the Cowcat, the squat, the hinge, time under tension, or any of the other concepts or exercises that we go through in this series, it's a win for what we're trying to do with providing tips to fit pros. So go check out this whole series. There's already a library of exercises that you can go through, hopefully find these little ways of cueing an exercise that makes a light bulb turn on in your head and helps ultimately your clients. This series, again, is hosted by Ronald Trujillo. He is the vice president of KIPS. And if I may say myself, he's very entertaining to watch on screen, and we hope that you enjoy these. Our next tutorial that was released is actually one of my favorites from the month, and one that was actually originally planned and developed last year, but unfortunately kind of just sat on the sidelines till last month. Sometimes when I create an outline or a tutorial, the full concept just isn't there. You can't really see how it's all going to come together, and we just don't want to put out tutorials that aren't helpful, to be honest. So with this one, it finally came together in my head with how we can kind of show you guys how to create a headshot, all the uses of a phone, or even the tips that bring it all together. Now, the funny part of this tutorial, in my opinion, is how many times over the last few years on social media have you seen someone that's taken a headshot in the front seat of the car? And no more. We want no more of that. Get all of that out of here. With this tutorial, we're going to give you some tips for making the photo look professional. And then if you have actually an iPhone, you can follow step by step the process that I went through to take two. The one I'm going to briefly touch on right now is with lights. If you've invested in lighting for your online workouts, use them. There should be no reason that you have a dark headshot, or even better, you can get more uses out of those lights. Use them for social media, use them for headshots, use them for more than just doing your online workouts. Now, the last tutorial that we released was on the Balance online platform. Over the last 2 years, platforms like Balance have been created for the fitness industry that allow fit pros to sell online workouts, accept payments, and create an alternative to running a traditional website. In my opinion, if you aren't well versed in running a website, or even if you don't want to, platforms like Balance can be great. One of the reasons I personally know how to build and manage WordPress websites was because when I started my first business, I built the website to save money. But now there are these platforms that can be professional and give you options so that you can invest your time and focus on things that you're good at. If you're good at training your clients, or one of the other million things that you have to do to run a fitness business, this is a benefit for you. You can save time, and you can still send your clients to other places. You can use social media. You can use marketing tools to get clients to your business, whether it's in person or online. So those were the tutorials that we released last month. To watch them, make sure you check out the links in the description. There's going to be a link to each of those so you can go quickly watch them. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe to our newsletter list or subscribe to our YouTube channel where we release weekly content geared towards fit pros to help you build your business, help you learn concepts that hopefully you didn't think about or that can help you along your path. Now getting into our podcast episodes from the last month. Our first guest was a fit pro by the name of Christy Taylor. One of the main reasons I wanted to bring her on the KIPS podcast is her willingness to learn new skills in the online workout realm. I believe she even admits in the podcast that she was new to it all. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard I don't have to learn XYZ or I can't learn that. Christy is a full-time mom, an in-person group exercise instructor at her local gym, and an online instructor. Now, I say those things, but she's so much more than that with developing her own workout format and now implementing her instructor trainings for that format she created. Christy is a fit pro that knows a bit about editing, OBS, streaming, cameras, microphones, and how all this stuff comes together. In the clip we're about to jump into, Christy's talking about the competition within the online workout space.
Yes, there is competition out there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we like it or not, the virtual space is here to stay.
Yeah.
It was already being developed before COVID hit.
Yep.
With Peloton and Apple Fitness and other juggernauts. COVID merely accelerated that process.
Mm-hmm.
It is here to stay. And I think right now we're in a bit of a grace period. For most fitness professionals and the communities at large, we're in a bit of a grace period. Everybody knows COVID hit hard and fast, and that professionals are still trying to adjust to our new reality. But in a few years, that grace period is over.
Mm-hmm.
And if fitness professionals want to stay viable, they're going to have to offer both in-person and some sort of virtual option.
Yeah.
So now is the time to figure it out. While everybody is still pretty understanding, while they're patient with professionals trying to figure out the process, do it now. Don't wait for another few more years because that grace period is going to end. And then it's just going to become expected. Members, the public at large is simply going to expect some kind of virtual offering in addition to in-person services. So my advice is just figure it out right now.
Two of our most popular episodes in the KIPS podcast come from guests Jason and Kaylee Cohen. These two operate Kaylee Cohen Fitness on YouTube, which at the moment has over 130,000 subscribers. Being a fan myself of her YouTube channel and being a fan of YouTube and operating two businesses that place emphasis on YouTube, when Jason reached out to me last month about some of the concepts he's been working on that have helped grow their channel, I was thrilled and immediately wanted to nail down a date and time to record with him. Now, when they first came on the podcast, they were around 66,000 subscribers, which is still amazing, and to have doubled that in a short amount of time is nothing short of amazing. Their hard work, dedication to their craft, and willingness to continue to improve shows with their subscriber amount and the opportunities that come to them. They have partnerships with Shimano and get opportunities by the dozen coming in. Now, a popular term over the last 2 years is engagement. How do you get someone who watches one clip off of social media or even on a video or a workout to want to engage and then become a subscriber or member? In this clip, Jason summarized his tips for growth and ties it to things that Kaylee does well.
So we started with give, don't sell. The second one was story is king, not gear. And then the third one is speak to one viewer. I see this a lot on YouTube where someone opens up a YouTube video and they're like, hey guys, welcome to my channel. Well, there's not a lot of guys sitting around one TV watching your YouTube channel, right? It's probably one person. So the speak to one person, know exactly who your target audience is, know exactly who that person is and speak directly to them. And one thing that I would say that's been a huge factor of growth for us is Kaylee is not afraid to laugh at herself. She messes up all the time. It doesn't bother her. She'll laugh at herself with you while you're watching the YouTube video. So be vulnerable, open yourself up. Don't approach YouTube as I want to be the perfect instructor. I want to teach the perfect class, because that's not YouTube. Be willing to make mistakes. People like seeing that that's a human on the screen and not a professional or an actor or a business, or just be a human. Show that you make mistakes, laugh at yourself with the viewer. And that's another great way to make that emotional connection with your viewer and build community.
Now, before we move to the next clip, I want to just touch on one of the segments from this podcast with Jason. I had a hard time choosing which one to include in this best of, and the topic of social media gets brought up. And Jason goes into how much his wife isn't a fan of social media and talks about the realities of it. In my opinion, when I heard about how unimportant social media was at the beginning of their business, I thought of so many instructors that I know that feel the pressure to create posts, to post continuously, to make TikToks, to make reels, make stories, and how much that weighs on them with everything they have going on in their life. And then you add in that mental element of it, and it's a lot. And at the moment, Jason and Kaylee are crushing it. They're crushing it. And if anything, a takeaway from this episode is to focus on one item. Don't let the pressure get to you, and continue to work and build on something that is special to you. Another returning guest from last month was Brooke Johnson. Brooke is a Maryland-based instructor that also works with me at Time to Train Fitness. Last month, when we were talking about her workouts, we got into this discussion about mindset and the difficulties of online workouts, and it clicked in my head that she needed to come back on the podcast. She is one that takes the time to reach out to new instructors on our team, talk to them about the difficulties of doing online workouts and what works and what didn't work for her. In our discussion, she shared why she's motivated to reach out to all these instructors, and also the mental struggle that she went through with learning all these items that were new to her. Now, speaking honestly on this podcast, it was a conversation that reminded me about the difficulties, all these difficulties that come with learning cameras, interfaces, microphones, all the intricacies of video production. And to be honest, I think sometimes I personally forget, because I've been doing them since I entered the industry. So this clip that we're going to jump into is Brooke talking about the learning curve associated with doing online workouts.
From the perspective of teaching online versus in person, they're completely different. In you are starting completely over a little bit. You still have your knowledge of how to instruct a class, but you're in a completely different environment. So you are really kind of starting over. You have to put on the learning hat and trial and error, what works, what doesn't work. And that is kind of how you grow. I was talking to you actually yesterday about finding, your strength in the struggle. And I think that is what makes or breaks success in the online business, because it's not easy. It's not something that you can just easily transition to taking it virtually and without any hiccups, because I can tell you there is a lot of hiccups.
Our last guest of the month was Robyn Parets, owner of Pretzel Kids. In my opinion, she has created an instructor training that sets up fitness pros for success. A common theme that I've seen in my experiences with being in the industry, being on the education side of the industry, is that there's a huge disconnect between an instructor getting their certification and then finding work. Where do they go after? What do they do? And this could be because of the business model of the education realm, how someone gets certified and how they get more customers coming in. But now more than ever, we need to provide instructors with these basics, with the basics of finding out how to get work, with interpersonal skills, business fundamentals, sales skills. All these items are necessities of being a fit pro. With Pretzel Kids, which is a kids yoga training, Robyn has created a community and resources that don't stop after someone gets their certificate. In this clip, Robyn talks about the biggest piece missing with Fit Pros and then what Pretzel Kids can offer them.
So I think you really did a great job summing it up. But the pieces that I think are missing are pretty much anything and everything that goes into marketing and running a business. Yeah. I think that a lot of yoga teachers or fitness professionals in general think that, I've got an Instagram page. I can throw up, posts that I'm running a class on Tuesday at 9 a.m. and people are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know that's not how it works.
Nope.
It takes a lot more than a social media channel to bring business in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything. Just because you are trained, you can be the best teacher, instructor, personal trainer, what have you, out there. But if you don't have anybody to train and teach, you're not going to earn any money doing it.
Yep.
So I think that's a big missing piece, is how do I actually market myself, promote myself effectively? And then after that, how do you run a business? Do I need a booking system? Do I need a PayPal account? All these things, there's just so much that goes into it. And a lot of our instructors, join our membership, and we provide so much for them. We provide templates for registration forms, for emails to reach out to schools, like little things like that aren't that little, right? Mm-hmm. They don't even know how to craft the email, a cold email, to introduce themselves. So we try to take away that friction with, here you go, you can paste and copy and just like input your own information and you'll be ready to go. Mm-hmm. So that's some of what I think is missing. A lot of them don't even really realize that you need insurance. So if you're going to go out and teach, they might think, oh, I'm teaching at a gym, I therefore don't need insurance. But maybe the gym will cover them in that location, but it certainly won't cover them if they want to run a pop-up class in a nearby park. They need fitness liability insurance. Yep. So I think a lot of the trainings out there teach you what you need to know to lead effective classes, work with people one-on-one in training or whatever the training is. It does give you those skill sets, but it just doesn't teach you how to run a business. It doesn't teach you how to market yourself, how to do all the administrative tasks that go along with it. So I think that there are many, many missing links, and there aren't a whole lot of programs that do it all. So a lot of times they'll take one course and then realize, oh, I got to take another course on this. And then I got to learn how to run my email, my social media. So I got to take a course on that. So there's a lot that goes into running a business, and we're not going to run the business for our teachers, but we are going to give them a lot of tools that are going to help them succeed. And even when we run our office hours and Ask Me Anythings, they can come and they can bring their questions that relate specifically to what they're trying to do. And it's just a good time to like brainstorm as a group, and I'm there, so I'll offer them insight. And then as part of our community, they can also message me. We have an app so that they can message me, and they can also post something in the discussion that myself or other teachers can jump in and answer.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So I guess I answered your question. What are the missing links? And then what are some things that they could benefit from at the same time?
Now, that's our best of February 2022 episode. The links for this episode will be in the description. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you go look at these resources, subscribe so that you're the first to know when new tutorials are coming out. And again, we appreciate you listening in, being one of our fans. And if you have time, please make sure to leave us a review on your favorite platform. Those help a business like KIPS continue to put out free content to help this podcast grow and to help us put out more free resources for Fit Pros. Until the next time, I'll see you then.